Welcome to the Abel Speaks Podcast, where we speak to commonly asked questions by parents who have received a life-limiting diagnosis for their child. We're Daniel and Kelly Crawford, and we're glad that you've joined us. All right, welcome to the Abel Speaks Podcast. Today's question is honestly kind of a conversation, but it's what has become in a lot of ways kind of a slogan, a rally cry, if you log onto our website or if you attended our benefit concert or anywhere, you're going to see this three-word slogan that is support changes stories. And we believe that to be true because we have seen that to be true. And we haven't necessarily taken the time to turn the mics on and talk about what we mean when we say that and why we say that. And so to kick it to you, Kelly, what do we mean when we say support changes stories? And how did we arrive at that conclusion?
Yeah, I think kind of a little bit of the backstory of arriving there is we would sometimes be asked, or it would be communicated to us that, hey, I personally chose to carry a child with a life-limiting diagnosis, or I know of a friend or a family member that chose to carry a child with a life-limiting diagnosis, and they regret that decision. They wish that they would have terminated, and it was a horrible experience for them. And so, as you know, over the years, I've heard that in a variety of ways. I think for me, it just felt like, man, I'm so sad that was that woman's experience, because we've had the privilege of walking with 145 families, and we have been able to see that as people feel supported and not alone, that they can have a lot of joy amidst the sorrow and suffering that does come with this journey. And so as we just continue to talk internally and externally with other people, I think it just kind of, like you said, became a mantra of ours, a little bit of, hey, we really have seen that as people feel supported and cared for, it really does change the trajectory of their story.
That's good. And so you alluded to it a little bit as you said, hey, I have people in my corner. I'm not walking through this alone and in isolation. And so a common question that kind of goes with, as people are asking about Abel Speaks in general and our mission, hey, when you say support, what are you talking about? Like, what are the ways that you support families? And so to that response, another common sort of rally cry that we have is that we are rooted in relationships. And so these ideas are connected. But why is it that as an organization, as a mission, we have said that's where we're going to drop anchor? We're going to try and help in a number of tangible ways and come alongside and serve families. But ultimately, we're rooted in relationships. Why is that?
I would say for us, we believe that God's people are provision for us, that community is a provision for us, and that through one another, it is how we are cared for, loved, and feel supported and not alone. We feel seen, we feel heard, we feel known through interacting and engaging with one another. And so we've seen the power of relationships and how when someone does feel supported by other people, that it really does change their story. And so it looks a myriad of ways through the ministry, but one of the main avenues that we provide that relationship is through a mentor couple. So if you want to share a little bit about what that kind of looks like.
Yeah, I mean, with all of these services, we kind of just initially were reflecting back on our journey with Abel, and I'll always remember I can close my eyes and I'm back there and I can see it and where we're sitting and who was sitting where, and we met with another couple. They didn't say, hi, we're your mentor couple. It was just friends of friends that had walked a similar road, and getting to hear them share their hearts and share their experience and reflect upon their time with their daughter, Ava. It created a new category in our minds of what this journey could look like, that unapologetically, not sugarcoating it. It's like, hey, this is the most difficult thing we've ever walked through. It was not something we thought would be a part of our story. And yet at the same time, we can say that we look back on our time with our little girl with no regrets. And we loved getting to know her, getting to meet her and hold her. And when we speak her name, when we think of her, it is primarily positive emotions that come to our mind and our heart, not the negative ones. The hard, heavy ones are there, and they always will be. And so we say all of that stuff, we regurgitate that at this point, and that's just been compounded with us having the honor of kind of playing that mentor type role for, as you said, over 100 families at this point, and just getting to see time and time again, not because we're awesome and exceptional and Superman and Wonder Woman, but because there's just something powerful and palpable about sitting across the table from people, or even across the computer screen nowadays from people that can say, me too, I get it, I remember that. And so for that reason of the services we provide, I don't know, that there is a more valuable one than that of the mentor couple, and why we feel so passionately about it as a role and as a service. And for that reason, it extends to just the whole mission and the whole ministry, is that we are rooted in relationships, because we believe that that kind of personalized, authentic relational support truly changes people's stories. And so with all of that, whether it's the mentor couple, whether it's the ideas of support and relationships, any other final thoughts to cap off the conversation?
I would just say, I think one of the sweetest things that we've gotten to see as we've supported families is honestly just the response that we've had from medical providers who've gotten to care for the families that we've walked with, and just to hear them say, oh, I can see the difference in how this family is navigating this. And walking into that hospital room, there is true joy in their child's life, and it feels like sacred ground, honestly, to walk into that room and to hear a provider say that about the families that we've gotten to serve, and just them really being able to notice the difference between that family and maybe another family that wasn't as supported and cared for, I think really just speaks to the power of being having people around us that are loving us and walking with us, so that we don't feel so alone and isolated. So
yeah, that's great. At the end of the day, as we have gotten to play the role of mentor couple, and as we are now having really the honor to start to train and raise up additional mentor couples, families that we walked with, 2 and 3 years ago, that are now getting to do exactly what we've been doing. We always we say that, man, the role you're able to play and what success looks like, and really the fruit that comes from these roles is that, and what we felt as we were the recipients of it, is that, man, we walked away from that conversation and from that relationship feeling hopeful, feeling comforted, feeling refreshed, feeling honestly equipped in different ways that we didn't even know that we didn't know, and ultimately just feeling like we were not alone. And so if that is you and you are in that place, we couldn't encourage you more to reach out to Abel Speaks today, and we would love to come alongside your family in that very same way. And so that wraps up this episode of the Abel Speaks podcast, and we will catch you next time. Hey friends, thanks for listening in. We hope this content has been helpful. At Abel Speaks, we exist to support families who have chosen to carry a child with a life-limiting diagnosis, and we want you to know that the foundation of that support is rooted in relationships. And so if you're a parent in this circumstance, then by all means continue listening in, but we'd really encourage you to reach out by sending an email to support@abelspeaks.org. Again, our heartfelt prayer is that this episode has served you in some way, and that we might have the opportunity to serve you further in the future. The Abel Speaks podcast is produced by the team at Tarno & Company and mixed and edited by the team at Sound of a Rose.